Hey guys, so we have Sylvia Marshall with us today, who you may or may not recognise from television, certainly if you're in the UK. Already a successful businesswoman in her own right, as one of Britain's preeminent renovation and DIY entrepreneurs, she discovered trading back in 2013. Back then, not only did she recognise women were seriously underrepresented, she was so unimpressed with the unsubstantiated hype and hyperbole within the trader trading industry, she decided to learn by herself, by discovery. But since metamorphosing into a profitable trader and publishing her bestseller 0 to 1 million, she's mentored hundreds of women how to trade. But what makes Sylvia different to all those trading educators out there? Well, she's so confident in her trading system, she's actually prepared to give students her money to trade with. Now, how about that? Sylvia, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Rob.
Well, so what was the allure for you with trading, given that it is both an industry where so many people have a go and fail, and one that is historically underrepresented by women?
I think there are a number of things. First of all, the biggest thing for me is it gives you total freedom. I know that I can trade from anywhere so long as I have my laptop. I might be looking out from a cabin onto the med and trading away, not in these COVID times, but ordinarily. And it's just a huge freedom, and it's a way of earning a living that works around your life rather than your life working around making a living.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot, isn't it? But don't you find the gender imbalance is kind of ironic, isn't it? Considering that I think there were Hargreaves Lansdown, which recently analysed data from its 1 million clients and found that women investors outperform men by an average of 0.81% over the past 3 years.
Of course we do.
I thought you might say that. You're not going to disagree with that, are you?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that, you can imagine this debate is one that I hear time and again. I don't think women are necessarily better traders than men. I just think we're different, As I say to people, when I get my new members, with the boys, it tends to be you have to stop them from pressing the button. And with the girls, it's getting them to press the button.
Interesting.
So it's just, Mars and Venus all over again. It's just different people.
So what would you say?
Different styles of trading.
No, I understand that. Different kind of people with different predispositions. So what would you say are the fundamental differences between men and women from your experience of trading them?
I think exactly that. The guys are very keen on building the biggest possible account that they can, and then trade bigger and bigger and tend to crash and burn more. Whereas the girls are more likely to take the cash out and use it and start over again. So I think it's about attitude to risk is the biggest difference of the lot. And women tend to have more patience.
Okay.
They like you would happily go 3 or 4 months without a trade, but then make it a decent trade when they do. Whereas the guys want to be trading all the time.
Yeah, I can understand that, and certainly I started off in that direction. I was very gung-ho when it came to clicking the buttons and the fear of missing out, and now, I guess, from your experience and mine now, the joy of missing out is such more of a peaceful predisposition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, the burning question, which a lot of people will be listening to, given the name of your brand as well, the 0 to 1 million club, is how exactly did you get from 0 to 1 million?
Well, I think it's a number of things. I firmly believe that you need multiple income streams. I don't think someone should set out to make their fortune purely from trading. So I run a number of businesses, and each of the businesses started out at a 0. I grow them to be worth 1 million and then I sell them. And the good thing about that is that then gave me ample trading funds to actually trade with. I mean, our members make on average 20% plus a year, and I tell our members to aim at 20%. I think it's foolhardy to go into trading and think you're going to make 100%, 150%. Although that happens, by far better to aim at 20 and then get a nice surprise.
Absolutely. So in a kind of a prudent accountant's terms, you overstate the liabilities and understate the potential return or the assets, so to say. I guess that's the kind of equivalent from an accountant's perspective.
Absolutely. If you're trading £1 million account and you're making 20% a year for half an hour's effort every day, what on earth do you have to complain about?
Well, absolutely, and that will increase over time and compound, as we are both very well
Yeah,
aware.
certainly. Yeah.
One of the wonders of the world, according to Einstein. So you subscribe to a similar philosophy as I do, with the keep it simple and the less is more logic. How do you actually describe your trading style to a layman,
Very
for
much
example?
very much a trend follower. So we're not in at the beginning of the trend. We're not hanging on for the last few pips at the end, but we get the meat in the middle. Some of our trades have been on for years. As simple and that as that. If you look at it realistically, if you'd have gone back donkey's years and just put one lot on the Nasdaq, shut the computer, and come back, 10 years later, you'd be very happy. So
Absolutely, yes.
you know, um, it's literally just finding those trends. So the important thing for us is we trade anything. We don't really care what it is, whether it's a commodity, whether it's an FX pair, whether it's a metal, we don't care. If it's trending, we'll trade it. So we're very, very much trend followers and very systematic.
Do you look at any fundamentals as well, or is it purely technical?
Purely technical. Don't look at the fundamentals at all. I don't listen to the news. I
Great.
never trade the news. If there's something to be known, my chart will tell me. If my
Yeah,
chart doesn't tell me, it isn't there.
yeah. Very much a kind of a key lesson from the book Trading in the Zone, which I'm sure you've come across.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Very mechanical, very kind of scientific, if you like, with no room for second guessing, as it were. No, that sounds fantastic. So your typical trading day is, ironically, not really a trading day. It sounds like it's more of a trading hour or less.
Yeah, there isn't a trading day at all. I mean, I make my watch list over the weekend when the markets are closed. That probably takes me a couple of hours on a Sunday. And then it's literally half an hour a day at the end of day every day.
Fantastic.
Um, and that's it. I've got a life. I've got a life to live. I don't want to be in front of my screen 24/7. you know
Yeah.
so I think it's very important that less is more, and actually the reason most people lose money is they overtrade.
Exactly. People want to kind of enjoy that embodiment of a trader, and they feel that to be a trader, they have to be in the market. When actually, it's a valid trading decision to stay out of the market and actually say, you know what, there's nothing worth trading today. I'm not going to do it, or even this week, or even this month. In my case, this quarter.
Absolutely. I'm sure people that enter trading have all watched far too many movies, and they're all kind of sitting in their back room going buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. When actually it's quite a solitary and measured activity if you do it properly.
It is. I mean, the romanticized kind of image of trading. Usually, the lines are very much blurred in Hollywood between trading and broking as well. Certainly, the Wolf of Wall Street, they're a boiler room of brokers, they're not traders.
Certainly.
That's the thing. And there are a lot of misconceptions about what trading actually is and what it can get you, especially. But I mean, when you arrived at trading, was it 2013? And as I recall, you did a 2 day course originally and quickly realised that you would need a lot more to do a 2 day course, and you were self-taught, which is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those strange things. As I say, I've worked in finance for 30, 40 years, training people in the financial industry to be the best that they can be. And, I went along to this thing, and it really was quite bizarre. A room full of people thinking they could have a £500 trading account and make 5,000 a month.
Oh dear.
When really it's not rocket science to know that that isn't going to happen. But it was very much a lot of hysteria, a lot of promises, a lot of, as you say, a lot of helicopters and Lamborghinis, and a lot of fakeness,
Oh
which
dear.
is tragic.
No, that is because a lot of people will basically be mesmerised by that, and the people who need the money the most will invariably be around that kind of so-called opportunity, moss to a light bulb, even though it is merely seemingly a mirage in a desert.
Absolutely. There were some tragic cases, and I speak every year at the London Investor Show, and the London Trader Show, and quite often you see some of the same people that have gone from one training provider to another training provider to another training provider, and 10 years later they're still losing money.
Yeah.
And you think, just put your money in the building society, go home,
Well,
do that.
no, it's
But
true. That's,
it doesn't work. People lose, they just top up the account and lose again. So we take on about 1 in 4 of the people that actually want to join us, because I don't want them to spend their money if I don't think they're going to make it, and selfishly I don't want to waste my time.
No, I understand that. And of course, if you're going to work with people who are likely to get it and do well, then it's a fantastic reflection on you as well. It's a kind of a quid pro quo, if you like.
Yeah.
But according to your venture, 0 to a Million Club, I mean, it was, according to your website, launched to help other like-minded women achieve trading success. And as the sticky wicket audience listening to this are disproportionately men, inevitably they'll wonder whether it's an option open to them. Is it open to men as well?
Yes, it is. What we did is the 0 to a Million Club was started for women over the age of 40, and then the guys started to complain. So we did a pilot group of guys that dubbed themselves the boys, and they are trading with equal success, but the two never meet. So we have the 0 to a Million Boys Club and the original 0 to a Million Club, and it's quite nice because there's quite a competitive feel between the two. But both groups trade very differently.
Must be fascinating.
And it is simply down to men trade differently to women. You can't generalise, but as a broad sweep, we trade differently.
Yeah, but that must be fascinating to see from a kind of from a scientific point of view, the differences between men and women.
Oh, it's
traders.
Totally fascinating. I love it.
You could probably write a book about it.
Now there's a thought. Perhaps I should.
In fact, I know you should. I mean, it sounds like you've got enough material there for a trilogy. So, do you think that trading is becoming increasingly popular for women, or is there still a way to go?
I think there's still a way to go. I think as an institutional trader, I think it's still very difficult for women. But as a retail trader, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever that as a mum or as a housewife, you couldn't have a passive income that works around your life. And I think a lot of women miss out on that because they think it needs to be a 24/7 job when it really doesn't.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think if you're a single mum or even just a stay-at-home mother or a housewife, that is a perfect opportune activity to get involved with. If, for example, you've got a couple of hours in the morning or even in the afternoon, if you're an end-of-day trader in the evening, then you're very well placed for this.
Exactly it. When I look around our members, we've got some members who really use their trading to fit their lifestyle. We've got one lady who's a carer, looks after her elderly parents. We've got one mum that has 5 young children. I mean, I take my hat off to her how she does that.
Wow, yeah.
I really don't know. I'd be totally exhausted. But some people have retired and just want extra income. But it's all about trading enabling lifestyle choices, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, precisely. So you put your money where your mouth is, unlike many trader educators, and you give your students a pot of money to trade with, I presume, after they've fulfilled various tests. But what conditions do you generally have attached to this?
Yeah, I mean, basically what we do is we give them our strategy and our trading rules, and we give them a 50,000 account. And they trade that, and they keep the largest percentage of the profits, and I have some of it. So long as they don't break the trading rules that we give them, we pick up any losses that they make. If they break the rules, then clearly I want my money back.
No, I understand that.
Interestingly, people don't break the rules.
No, precisely. I mean, £50,000 to a lot of people, psychologically, I mean, that's a round, big number. And as it's someone else's money, a whole new level of psychology will inevitably manifest itself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for me, it's a no-brainer. If you're teaching something and it works, why wouldn't you back someone with your own money? And I ask this question of other training providers, and they all tell me I'm insane. But, either you're teaching something that works or you're teaching something that doesn't work. And if you're teaching something that doesn't work, then clearly you wouldn't give someone trading funds. So I always say to people, if you're going to a training provider, what you need to say is, will you give me your money to trade with while I learn?
Yeah.
And if the answer's no, then you need to question what you're being taught.
So would you, with the typical students who might ask, for example, to have money traded, would you want to see like a certain number of months of profitability, like 3 months, 6 months, a year?
No, not at all. All we ask them to do is to demonstrate at least one trade where they can follow the rules, and then they go live. So it can be a matter of weeks.
Fantastic. So what's the maximum drawdown rate, just out of interest?
5%.
5%? And they risk, say, 1% per trade, or?
Yeah, it graduates from 0.5% to 1%, depending on how well they do, and basically at my discretion.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because I guess if, for example, I mean, if you're risking 1% per trade, you have 5 losing trades, so to say, then you're out of the game, which
Yeah,
could be quite quick for a number of people. But as you say, if they're following a trend and they're getting in at the right time, then you've got the momentum behind you, and yeah, it should work out.
yeah, exactly. As a trend follower, you expect to lose 60% of your trades, but those that win big.
Yeah.
I'm really not interested in 10 pips. It's like, why would you put that much effort in for 10 pips? I'm interested in a couple of hundred, and then it becomes worthwhile.
No, precisely. So I imagine, like, you're absolutely fine if you get a 6% drawdown after you've made 20%, for example, over the course of, say, 18 months, rather than if they're immediately 6% or 5% under from the watermark,
Yeah.
then that's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something wrong
Absolutely. Drawdown is not something to be overly concerned about unless the numbers get horrid. Because as a trend follower, drawdown is natural, but what you don't want is crash and burn.
there. Yeah. So do you believe that great traders are born or made?
Oh, very much made.
Yeah. No, I agree
Very
with you
much
there.
made. I think pretty much anybody with the right mental attitude can trade. I think the difficulty is that a lot of people simply don't have the right mental attitude and are not prepared to learn the right mental attitude. In that, don't go in the market if there's not a trade to be had, don't trade it. Some people are psychologically incapable of doing that, and that's fine. But then you shouldn't be trading.
So do you find as well from your own experience that people who need the money the most are generally less likely to be successful in trading long term, i.e. there's a kind of the scarcity element to it, whereas those who don't necessarily need the money but they're happy with that extra income stream are generally more measured in their trading decisions and generally do succeed longer term?
Yeah, very very much so. I think it's like the desperandum salesman really that's got to sell his last widget to pay the bills. Then that doesn't make for a good sale any more than a trader will make a good trade if their life depends on it. Which is why we say to people it should just be the tiniest peak of that investment triangle that you actually trade. Keep your secure stuff. Your trading is high risk, no matter how reserved you are, and I'm very conservative as a trader. I'm not actually risk oriented, believe it or not, but it's still a risky proposition. So therefore, you should trade what you can afford to lose. I know it's an adage that people churn out all the time, but it's an important one to remember.
No, it's so true, and you're absolutely right there. And the sad thing is when you look online, and there are an inordinate amount of advertisements and offers for people aimed specifically at people who are desperate to make money. And like you say, it's a high risk activity. And actually, for those people, it's probably going to be far better for them from a psychological perspective if, like you say, just whack their money in a building society, or maybe buy precious metals, or just sit and hold on a blue chip stock, for example, or a couple of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at least you'll get the dividends, even if the stock doesn't appreciate or conform to their growth expectations over the next 12 months or so. But no, it is very interesting when you look at the psychology of people from different backgrounds, those that make trading work and those that don't.
Yeah, you know, it's quite interesting because for some of the guys that come along, I say, why don't you take your £500 and go down the casino for the night? You have a really good night out and gamble there, because you'll at least get a good night out of it, rather than putting it in a trading account and gambling in there.
Yeah, very, very sage words. So where can people find out more about you, Sylvia?
Yes, hop onto the website zerotoamillionclub.com and you can get in touch with me at any time through the contact box. You can read about us. As I say, I'm speaking at assuming it still happens, at the London Trader Show and also at the London Investment Show. So if you drop me a line actually through the site and mention this interview, I'll throw in a free ticket for you.
Fantastic. And do send Simon and Lisa Campbell my best wishes when you're there.
I will do.
All right, Sylvia, thank you so much for your time. And for those people who want to find out more, go to the website and the link will be below as well.
Lovely to talk to you, Rob.